Let's unbox Trickster Takeover. See what's going on here. So Trickster Takeover is coming out I think August 15th. They did send home a couple of copies with some reviewers from Gen Con, so I'm super grateful for Fantasy Flight for that, so thank you. But we're gonna box this open. Wow, words are hard. We're gonna unbox this, and then we are going to we're gonna play it tomorrow. We're gonna play Thor versus Loki, and I'm thinking that we may do Valkyrie versus Enchantress, or we may find something else to do versus Enchantress. This is a scenario pack, so I'm happy to see that we are getting more scenario packs than we have been in the past. I feel like we've missed a scenario pack drop in the last couple waves, and so it's nice to see a scenario pack just because I really like the swings that they take with the design space and scenario packs, and this one being the massive multiplayer. And then Enchantress is a really unique scenario. I wouldn't say that there's a ton of like big swings with Enchantress, but Loki being the massive multiplayer is the big swing, right? Can we get close-ups on the 1A on both scenarios? Of course. I just have to like stall until I can open this because there's a lot of pressure opening this on stream. So, but yeah, I got to play the Loki scenario at the massive multiplayer. Fantastic. Really thought that the massive multiplayer worked, or epic multiplayer is what they're calling it, worked really well for it. And I have not played Enchantress. This was the demo that they were running at the booth, though. Leadership Scarlet Witcher Aggression Magic versus Enchantress would be funny. Justice Thor versus Loki is awesome. Nice. Yeah. So how many cards is this? 78 card scenario pack. So 2 scenarios. We did get to play with, and we'll see them as we go through them, but the new mod set where after you defeat the minion, you get the ally version. That was pretty cool. Do you think they will add epic multiplayer to the new releases? I don't think it's going to be something that we see with every new release, but during one of the things that they said in the Champions panel when they were talking about it is that it is something that they would be interested in revisiting in the future, but I would not expect to see all of the new releases having a massive multiplayer mode. Alrighty. Let's look at Loki. So Loki is the massive multiplayer, and the way that it's set up, I'm just going to try and explain it. Let's see if I can explain it. For whatever reason, I have not enjoyed Justice Thor. Even with the cards in Shuri's pack, I don't feel like I have enough damage for the villain and the minions. That's fair. Are you playing like true solo mode mostly, or are you playing like multiplayer? So there's epic multiplayer, there's pods. We have a Worlds Collide and a Loki God of Lies. So this is kind of how the game is set up. True solo. Yeah, that's fair. I like using the hammer throws for the villain. And then it's a slower paced game when I'm playing true solo. Hammer throws for the villain is a pretty decent damage potential. Figured if it was successful, we'd see massive multiplayer once every... That sounds about right, yeah. So, Loki God of Lies is kind of the main Loki that we are fighting. So, Loki God of Lies here says that if Loki God of Lies has 10 health per player or fewer remaining, flip this card. This is per player in the entire game. So our Loki, when we played him on Thursday, had 480 health. So when he hit 240 health, we flipped Loki. How do you deal damage to Loki? You attack his avatar. And so every single pod is fighting one of these 4 avatars. And similar to like the Loki that we have in Mad Titan Shadow, they are popping in and out and changing and doing weird Loki trickster things. But whenever you defeat a Loki, we'll show this one, Loki the Miscreant. This is B1. 1 scheme, 2 attack. As a forced response, after you resolve a treachery, place 1 threat on the main scheme and 1 threat on a side scheme. We were playing that wrong. I put it on every side scheme. Whoops. Okay. Read the card, Nelson. So whenever you would defeat him, he comes in with 15 hit points per player, and 15 hit points per player is for your group. So we had 4 players, so he had 60 health. This does not have 480 health. When the villain would be defeated, we place 5 shatter counters per player here and flip this card instead. So you flip the card and it becomes a fading figment, and all of the fading figments are the same on each side. The art's a little different, they're like different colors, but the text is all the same. And it says, when revealed, shatter the illusion. Choose a group in your pod, place synergy counters on their feigned retreat. Okay, so you do place synergy counters on different environments. I'm just lying to y'all today. Place synergy counters on different environments equal to the number of players in their group. Then you have shatter the illusion. So this is kind of the text that describes how you're actually dealing damage to like the Loki God of Lies, the main Loki. So this says, when a fading figment is revealed, follow these steps to shatter's Loki illusion. We're going to remove each shatter counter from fading figment and deal that much damage to Loki God of Lies. So minimum in our group of 4, we were dealing 20 damage whenever we flipped the fading figment. Then we swap the fading figment with a random set aside Loki, and then set the hit point value to its printed hit point value, and then deal every player an encounter card. So fading figment flips over. We deal minimum 20 damage, but it's a little bit more because a lot of the cards in this deck add shatter counters to Loki. There's some pretty mean cards in here. And so like whenever you would take out like Malakath, we'll go through each one of these, but Malakath, the when defeated down here, you place 2 shatter counters on the avatar of Loki villain. So next time you flip them, you're dealing 22 damage to Loki God of Lies. And so it's like this fun push and pull of we need to deal damage to Loki. We can only do that when we take out the different illusions or the avatars. And yeah, the synergy of placing the counters on different schemes was a ton of fun. I'm going to pull those out so we can look at those as well. But that'll be next. So 1A for Mischief and Mayhem as a close-up. Here we go. This is 1A. I think this is what we're hoping to look for. So setup, after resolving worlds collide, we're going to put a random avatar of Loki into play, set each other side of Loki outside, put each synergy environment into play. In standard mode, set the intense focus attachment outside. In expert mode, we're going to attach it to Loki. So there is a way to play expert and standard, and you can have different pods doing different things. So if the table next to you wants to play the expert and you want to play standard, you absolutely can. It does not modify anything outside of your game group, which is pretty cool. Then we have Mischief and Mayhem. So this threats out at 8 per player. It goes up by 1 every single round. When this scheme would be completed, we're going to remove all threat from here and place 1 threat on Worlds Collide instead. Worlds Collide is kind of the overall main scheme. So Worlds Collide, we're creating a separate group, yada, yada, yada. But on here, we threat out at 2 threat per pod. And so that symbol up here is a newer symbol. It counts the total number of groups in all pods. So we had, I think 7. So this would have thwarted out at 14. So whenever this pops, you add a threat here. And so basically whenever someone gets knocked out, or whenever the main scheme in any group pops, we're adding kind of this overall threat to Worlds Collide, which could be a way that the collective loses the game. Because this also says when an identity would be defeated, change that identity's form to alter ego, set its hit point value to 1, and place 1 threat on Worlds Collide instead. So it's also another nice thing that you don't get kicked out of the game if you get defeated. So that's nice. The 4 synergy environments, these are the permanent environments, so these are out here. There's a lot of like kind of like permanent stuff on the board, but once you got playing it, it really was pretty easy to keep up with. Do you think it's simple enough to I think it's easy to do true solo. We'll do a true solo tomorrow, and hopefully I keep that same outlook on it, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty easy to do true solo. So each one of these is a synergy card. They're all permanent, and you can place synergy counters on it. You can have max 1 per player, which would be in our group of 4. And as an interrupt, when an identity would take any amount of damage, we can remove a synergy counter to prevent 4 of that damage. And so whenever you're placing synergy counters out on these environments, you're giving them to other pods or yourself, and you can then use the ability that they have, or that the tokens have. There are cards in the deck that will also add tokens, but it's really fun to be able to like reach over to the table that you're sitting next to and be like, hey, put a counter on Feigned Retreat. And it's like, okay, so now they have a little bit of protection from being knocked out. Unified Front generates 2 wild resources per synergy counter, which is very helpful, especially if you're running a Hone Technique or something. You got Mounting Resistance. This one we used a lot. We had a ton of threat in our game. I think that was the lack of a Justice player kind of helped with the excess amounts of threat. But this one, whenever you make a basic thwart, or whenever you, I'm sorry, not a basic thwart, whenever you make a thwart, you can remove 4 additional threat by removing a counter here. So that helped us just clear some side schemes. It helped us clear the main scheme. We got up to almost popping the main scheme. We got up to, what was it? It was 32. We got up to 31. It was wild. And then Domineering Force is very similar to Mounting Resistance, except it's for attack, so it can deal 4 additional damage. I'm excited to try Domineering Force with like 1x1s and stuff, because now a 1x1 is 6 and 6 damage, which is a lot more effective than like 3 and 3. Or 2 and 2, I'm sorry. And so these are kind of cool. And then being able to give them out to other groups was a ton of fun, because you'd be like, okay, you get a counter on Domineering Force, and you're like, thank you, yes, okay, now we can actually take out this minion, because the minions in this deck are brutal. But before we talk about the minions, I do want to go through the other avatar of Loki's, because they are also not very nice. So we talked about the Miscreant, who places threats whenever we resolve a treachery. We have Loki the Rascal. After you resolve a boost card, if that card is a treachery, deal it to yourself as a face down encounter card, or spend a resource of any type. Very mean, Loki the Rascal. And then they all have 15 health per player. Loki the Knife. I'm going to call him the Knife. Loki the Knife. I think it's the Knave, but yeah. After you resolve a treachery, deal 1 damage to your identity and 1 damage to an ally you control. And like we very quickly realized that we don't want any of these. And then Loki the Wretch. When Loki the Wretch activates against you, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If it's a treachery, he gets +1 scheme, +1 attack for that activation. Then he also gets a boost card. And so he's a 1/1, potentially a 2/2, plus the boost. Then if you're playing in expert mode, you have intense focus. So the way that you play expert mode is you attach this card to Loki, or the avatar of Loki. So this says that the avatar of Loki gets steady, as well as +2 hit points per player. So instead of like 60 in a 4-player game, it's 68. So a little bit more to go through. It gives them a +1/+1, really kind of amping up that expert, as well as adding in like the expert cards into the encounter deck. When revealed in standard mode, discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck and top 5 cards of each player deck. The reason that you would reveal it in standard mode is once we do get Loki down to half health, he flips over, and then when revealed, each group in standard mode attaches their set-aside intense focus to the avatar of Loki. So now it's effectively stage 2, right? In expert mode, you start on stage 2. The intense focus is the stage 2 card. So whenever you flip Loki standard mode, you get intense focus. And then you would do the when revealed. That's only a when revealed in standard mode. Each group in expert mode flips their focus to total focus. So total focus gives him a additional hit point per player, so it goes up to 3 hit points per player, and he gains steady. Then we're going to discard the top 2 cards per player, the encounter deck, and the top 5 cards of each player deck. Find the Dark Scepter and reveal it. If it did not enter play this way, give him a tough status card. So it gets a little bit more brutal when he comes in at stage 3. And then after we've taken down all of his health, that is when we win the game. The Dark Scepter card. Oh, this came out. This was mean. The Dark Scepter card is a +1 attack, and then he gains Stalwart, and it says treacheries cannot be canceled. And then as a hero response, after you resolve a treachery, we can spend 2 resources of the same type to discard this card, which could be really nice because we have Unified Front, so it's like a wild. So you can use Unified Front to get rid of Dark Scepter. But yeah, so when he comes out in expert mode, he's going to have +2 attack. We got Wrapped in Chains. This is a attached to your identity. The attached identity cannot ready, and when it's revealed, you exhaust it. As a hero action, spend 2 resources of the same type, discard this card, place a shatter counter on the avatar of Loki villain. So you get a little bit of like benefit for breaking out of your chains, because now whenever you flip Loki, you're going to deal a little bit more damage to Loki Gotta Lies, which is the main villain that we're taking out. We got Dragger Buddy. It's a 0/1/2 with guard. When defeated, the defeating player discards the top card of the encounter deck. If it's a treachery, deal this to that player as a face down encounter card. The Thor player was loving it. It was so much fun. It was also really nice to be playing Falcon. So if we did not want this minion back, what we would do is, because Falcon plays with the top card of the deck face up, we could see if it was a treachery. And if it wasn't, that's when we would take him out, then discard the card. It's just another way to kind of cycle those cards. But most of the time we were waiting until there was a treachery so Thor could take him out and then just deal himself again. Yeah, it's a lot of treachery interaction. It's kind of a scenario that's all built around treacheries, which is kind of interesting and fun. And one of the things that I was a little concerned about was there's so many like triggers for treacheries. Like when a treachery happens, do this. But what I kind of got trained to do by the end of the scenario is, if you reveal a treachery, something's happening. So just find what's happening. But when I was like, oh, I'm going to have to remember this when a treachery is revealed, this when a treachery is revealed. But it's all the same type of card. It's all treacheries. So it was not as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be. Poor Starler going to have a bad time. Oh, yeah. What does Mr. Knife do? He's like, first treachery gains Surge. Brutal. And then we start getting into our big minions. The minions were kind of intense. So like Malakath is a 2/2/5 with Retaliate 1, 3 boost icons. After he attacks you, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If it's a treachery, deal it to yourself as a face down encounter card. So Malakath is not happy with you. And then when defeated, you place 2 shatter counters, so you're dealing more damage to Gotta Lies. But I mean, a 2/2/5 Retaliate 1 is not a super nice minion. We got Grindel, who's a 1/1/6 with guard. When he attacks, discard the top 3 cards in the encounter deck. For each treachery, he gets +1 attack for the attack. And then you get 3 shatter counters when you take out Grindel. But it's a scenario that you have to bring a lot of minion answers to, because the minions are mean. The Minotaur, 2/2/4 toughness. There are 5 or more treacheries in the encounter discard pile. He activates against you when he's revealed, which there probably will be because there's a lot of them out there. And then you get 2 shatter counters when he gets defeated. Hold on, I want to show that one last. Got the Fenris Wolf. He's a 1/2/7 with guard and patrol. 7 health with a guard and patrol is some Galaxy's Most Wanted like stuff going on there. Those are some mean things to get around. You do get 3 shatter counters on Avatar of Loki, and then you can place a synergy counter on their mounting resistance environment when you defeat him. So it's really nice benefit when you take him out. It's just like 7 health is a lot to chew through before you can thwart the main scheme. So Fenris Wolf was mean. I don't even know how to say this. Does anyone have a pronunciation guide for what sound does an HR at the start of the word make? Is the H silent? Ravesgeller? 2/2/7. When revealed, discard the top 3 cards in the encounter deck. If a Treachery was discarded this way, take 2 indirect damage. Ew. And then when defeated, place 3 shatter counters on the avatar of Loki villain. Choose a group and place a synergy on their domineering forces, which is the damage one. So deal some additional damage when you take him out. But again, 2/2/7, 3 boost icons. And you'll notice that like these are 1, but 3 boost icons, 3 boost icons, 3 boost icons, 2/2. It was just more deceptively hard than I thought. Got Laufey with 1 less boost icon than he normally has, at 3. He's a 2/3/7. Then after a character attacks him, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If that card is a Treachery, you stun the attacker. You do get 3 shatter counters and a synergy counter on Unified Front, which is the resource one when you take them out. But the other thing is that these don't have victory. They come back. They come back. Brutal. Yeah, the last minion in the set is, I think, the coolest, and that is the Mangog. So the Mangog is a 3/4 10 health per group in your pod. So we were playing with 3, so the Mangog had 30 health. However, any player in the pod can attack the Mangog. And so whenever this came out, we would have an announcement where we would say, there's the Mangog. If you want to attack the Mangog, you can. So anyone can attack it as if it was in their game area, which was kind of fun. And then when defeated, each player in your pod places, each group in your pod, so not just your group, places 3 shatter counters on their avatar of Loki, 1 synergy counter on one of their synergy environments. You get to choose, and then it does have victory 1, so it does go away. The fun interaction that we had with the Mangog is our Thor player played Get Over Here and stole the Mangog from a different pod. Which I thought was just hilarious. It was really fun. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be played, but Get Over Here, if you have aerial, you engage the attacked minion. And because you attack a minion as if it was in your game area, then you engage it. And so we just took it away from him. And then because I was playing the Falcon Defend, I was able to defend for 4 perfectly every single time. So we just let him sit there, and then we slowly chipped away at him. But that was a really fun. But Mangog I thought was just a really, really fun design. Also in True Solo, brutal. 3/4/10 coming out. Okay. That'll be fun. Thor hammer throwing and almost killing it. But these are some of the ways that you can get like synergy counters on your shatter counters on your Loki. So you're not just doing 5 per player whenever you flip them. There are other ways you can build up those shatter counters, which I think is a really cool mechanic. You also can get shatter counters through like the side schemes and stuff. So like Aura of Stasis. Discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck when revealed. Top 3 cards in expert mode. Oh, there's a really cool card coming up that I just remembered. If a Treachery was discarded this way, exhaust your identity, which is brutal because it does have a crisis icon on it. And so it comes in with 4 threat, crisis, and it can exhaust you. Door Between Worlds. Wild looking card. So this is another victory. A reason to use Directed Force on the man. Yeah. Directed Force getting you +2 to take them out. Yeah, nice. Any player in your pod can thwart the Door Between Worlds. So this is very similar to the Mangog, as if it was in their game area. It comes in with 7 threats per pod. So this in our game would come in with 21 threats. Then when defeated, each group in your pod places 3 shatter counters on Avatar Loki and 1 synergy counter on their synergy environments. It comes in with a crisis, acceleration, and hazard icon. Brutal. We fortunately did not see that. I think we were able to dodge that using Falcon because we just didn't have a Justice player. And we're like, I think we lose if that comes out. So there are 2 copies of Lofty Goals. And a good use of minion upgrades to deep. Yeah, definitely. 2 copies of Lofty Goals. When defeated, place 2 shatter counters on the avatar of Loki. And then as a boost, you take 1 indirect damage for each character you control, which is brutal. Another way to kind of just like poke at the allies and making them a little bit less effective. Yeah, this is Boggs' design. Cyclops just spitting them with all them upgrades. Yeah. Yeah. This one is a when defeated, place 3 shatter counters on the avatar of Loki. Choose a group in your pod and place a synergy counter on the feigned retreat environment. And then the treacheries. So we got 2 copies of Dark Arts. In expert mode, this card gains Insight 1. When revealed, search encounter discard pile for a minion and reveal it. Otherwise, place 3 threat on the main scheme. It feels very zombie-like, coming back to life. And so that feels dark artsy to me. We got Dirty Trick. When revealed, remove 1 shatter counter from the avatar of Loki. Take 2 damage. So this is like getting these counters off of Loki, which is real feel bad. And then we got 3 copies of Stories and Lies. So when revealed, swap the avatar of Loki in play with a random set-aside avatar of Loki. Then, if it is the Knife or the Miscreant, he schemes with +1 scheme in expert mode. And if it's the Rascal or the Wretch, he attacks you with +1 attack in expert mode. And so you still do get that like feeling the DNA of Loki from Mad Titan Shadow, where he's popping in and out with all of his different forms, just in a different take on it. And I think like that is a cool way to do it and not feel too bad. So I like it. Yeah, you play with Trickster Magic, which is what we'll go through, and that is the setup that we played with in our game. Is we did Standard and Trickster Magic, but you can mod it. It's a modular set; it's not a required mod set, so you can play it with anything. But this is the Loki set. We'll talk about Enchantress in a second, but we're going to talk about the Trickster Magic scenario, or the mod set, because I like it. This is the one where it was in the preview article where like whenever you take out a minion, you get them as an ally version, and that's just like a really fun like way to do it. They do have victories, so they don't hang out forever. But where does this sit difficulty wise? I played Standard, and I think we had a couple of like really optimized decks. And so I don't know if I have a great answer for that yet, because that's the first time I played Standard in a long time. So I need to play it expert tomorrow, and I think I'll have a little bit better an idea. My guess is that it's like right in that medium level. It's not going to be a Venom Goblin or a Ronin, but it's not going to be a Absorbing Man. My guess is like Claw level. It's kind of how it feels, but and that's just pure speculation. I think I'll know more tomorrow, because also like 4 players completely different than like a true solo, and so tomorrow when we play true solo, we'll know a little bit better how they interact together. Okay, so we have the Trickster Magic, which is an 11 card mod set, which is kind of crazy. However, only 7 of them are used in the deck, because we have 4 linked cards, which is the mechanic where when something happens, you can pull it in. So 4 big minions, 2 side schemes, and an attachment. So let's look at the minions, and we will go through the minions and the allies at the same time. So we got Absorbing Man here. He's a 2/1/7. He has guard, victory 1. So once you take him out, he's gone. When he is engaged with you, he gets +X, where X is the printed cost, the highest cost card you control. So if you have an Avengers Mansion, Absorbing Man does not like Avengers Mansions. He's going to crush that thing. He's attacking you for 5, which is kind of crazy. When defeated, the player who defeated this minion puts the set-aside of Absorbing Man ally into play under their control. So let's take a look at that. Wood Dog! How long does this play compared to a normal game? We're looking to get a game of Trickster Takeover going at Play It Today games with 3 pods, about 2 to 3 players in each pod. I think we finished our game. Let me look at my schedule. It was slated for 3 hours. I want to say that 2 hours, maybe. I want to say it was about 2 hours. I don't think it was necessarily that much longer than a normal game of Champions. The way that was, maybe slightly longer, but from how we played, I wouldn't say that it was drastically longer than a normal game. I would say it's about roughly about the same. When are you doing it? So Absorbing Man, when he's defeated, you put the ally into play. So the ally is a 1/1/3, 2 consequentials on both. And then Interrupt. When he attacks or thwarts, exhaust and upgrade air support you control. Absorbing Man gets plus X to that power, where X is that card's printed cost to a maximum of 3. He also does have a victory 0, so he does go to the victory pile when he gets knocked out. But yeah, I think it was a Thor player who got this, and he was exhausting Asgard. So like a card that doesn't need to be exhausted to actually have an effect. And so he was, attacking for 4, which is pretty cool. Saturday within a week or 2 after release. Sick. Nice. A lot of people always go to Venom Goblin as the hardest and Ronin as the second hardest on Expert. I wonder what the community thinks is the hardest is. I would say Nebula or Loki from Mad Titan Chat. I would say Nebula. I feel like Nebula is so swingy that it's kind of hard to say she's the hardest, because I've had Nebula games that are harder than Ronin games, but I've also had Nebula games that have been super easy. I feel like Falcon likes Nebula a decent bit because he can set that encounter card pretty easily. Next up, we got Titania. I've been saying her name wrong for my entire life. Titania. 1/3/8. Big minions. Big minions. Steady victory 1. Her attacks gain overkill, and then whenever you defeat her, you get her ally version, which is a 2/3, and then her attacks gain overkill and piercing, and she has 5 health. So just minimum true solo. I'm looking at 10 thwart. Very exciting. Whirlwind. 2/1/6 with quick strike, and it's annoying because after he attacks you, you take 1 indirect damage for each side scheme in play. And so he's coming in, he's attacking, and then you take a lot of indirect damage. When defeated, you get the Whirlwind ally, who is a 4-cost 0 attack. But when he attacks, remove a threat from each scheme in play. For each threat removed this way, he gets +1 attack for the attack. So this is a lot of fun to bring out those side schemes, and have a ton of them and clear, and then he's attacking for 3 or 4 depending on how many are out. It's fun to see how the parallels between the minion and the ally version. Someone did mention it's weird that the allies are so much weaker than the minions, and it's it is, right? I guess game balance or whatever. And then we got Zax. So it's 1/2/6, retaliate 1. When you reveal Zax, you discard the top 4 cards of your deck. For each printed lightning resource discarded this way, take 1 indirect damage. And then you're going to get the ally version, which is a 3/1/4. Also, none of these count against your ally limit, which is pretty nice. So that's cool. And this is also a defiant trait. So if we are looking to abuse the strength and diversity, we have a new way to do that. After he enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card with a printed lightning resource and add it to your hand. Do you know what's really sad? I took out the Zax and I whiffed. It was too bad. The Trickster Tango is one of our side schemes. The villain gains Stalwart. It's got 2 acceleration icons. And then if the activation is an attack, it gains overkill. Brutal. Having overkill on a boost effect. You have to know it's in there. You have to be expecting it. You are looking to see where that is. Because if it catches you at the wrong time, it can be game ending. I'm going to show this card last because I think it's my favorite one in this set. Anyone else looking at these allies and thinking about Black Widow and Avengers? In what way? Black Widow and Avengers, like the movie? We have Love Triangle. We attach it to an ally you control, otherwise this gains Surge. The attached ally cannot attack the villain or defend against the villain's attacks, which is really cool. All right, so cannot defend against the villain's attacks. Other ways to prevent that. As an alter ego action, you spend the attached ally and spend a mental resource to discard this card. What's really nice is when you throw this on like Professor X. Telling Hawkeye that she cognitively recalibrated. Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. And then I think my favorite card in this set is Puppet Master. So in expert mode, it gains Hinder 1. I think that's a really fun way to do it because it only comes in with 2. However, it's Hinder 1 in expert. And it says allies cannot thwart this scheme or defend against the villain's attacks. And it comes in with a hazard. So in standard mode, kind of not a big deal. In expert mode, a little bit bigger of a deal, but allies can't thwart it. So you have to rely on your hero to do it somehow, whether that be a basic activation or a like an event. And then while it's out, allies cannot defend the villain's attacks. Still defend minion attacks, but can't defend. So like this is just a card that really hinders like an ally focused strategy. And I think that's a really cool way to do it. So that's the Trickster Magic scenario. I think it's really fun. I really like this idea. Beefy minions, mean like side schemes and attachments. I'm happy with this. This is gonna be a fun one to put into pretty much any scenario. Alrighty, next up is Enchantress, and this is the one that I have know nothing about. Because I have not seen anything. I did not do the demo, unfortunately. Oh, I did get a Marvel Champions pin though. That was pretty cool. Alrighty, so Enchantress. We got 3 stages of Enchantress. Normal villain. This is not a massive multiplayer. This is like a normal villain. Enchantress is a 2/1/15 per player. Force responds after she attacks you. Place a charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. We'll talk about enchantment cards here in a second. Stage 2, her attack goes up. She goes to steady and she gets toughness. When revealed in standard mode, again, one of those a cool way to do that. So in standard mode, when you flip her, but you don't do it at the start of the game in expert mode, which is cool. Force response after she attacks, place a charm counter. And then in expert mode, steady, toughness, 3/2. When revealed, put the set aside Future of Despair into play. Additional 4 threat per player threat on it. After she attacks, you place a charm counter. Alrighty. So during setup, we're gonna set the Future Despair side scheme aside out of play. Oh, okay. So in stage 2, you're doing the Future Despair. So it's the final stage is whenever the Future Despair comes in. We'll talk about that in a second. Attach a random hypnotic gaze to each identity. Players cannot look at the reverse side. Set each remaining hypnotic gaze aside. Okay. So each one of these hypnotic gazes are the same here. Your identity gains the Defiant trait. Strength and Diversity, let's go. And then if there are 5 or more charm counters here, remove each charm counter and flip this card. So like we have the Trance of Envy. Your identity gains the Enthralled trait. When revealed, discard a card you control. Otherwise, discard the top 8 cards of your deck. And then we can exhaust this card to give Enchantress a face-down boost card to ready our identity. So we get a nice little benefit whenever we do have this, but also a negative. We have Trance of Greed. You get the Enthralled trait. You are confused when revealed. Otherwise, take 2 damage. Then exhaust this card to draw a card. Then play that card, paying its cost. If you cannot, you have to take 1 damage. Love that. It's so cool. When revealed, exhaust your identity. Otherwise, discard a card at random from your hand. And then you can exhaust this card, place a threat on the main scheme to remove 2 threat from a side scheme. That's kind of fun. You are stunned. Otherwise, place 2 threat. Exhaust this card. Heal 1 damage from Enchantress to draw a card, then discard a card. Then we got the Trance of Wrath. Dude, Cap looks so out of pocket here. Look at Cap's having a tough day. Search the top 5 cards in counter deck for a card and reveal it. Kind of nice that you get to choose. And then as a forced action, all of these are forced actions, which is a new action type, which means that you have to do it before the end of the player phase. Exhaust this card, take 1 indirect damage, deal 2 damage to a minion. So you're going to get one of those, and after Enchantress attacks is when you're going to be placing counters. Once you reach 5, you flip it. The Future Despair is the side scheme that we were told to put aside at the beginning and comes in at the second stage of the villain, so stage 2 in standard, stage 3 in expert. Feels very Lord of the Rings. Put this aside, pull it in. Future Despair. Enchantress gains stalwarts and cannot take damage. Brutal. When revealed, place 1 charm counter on each enchantment card in play. Comes in with 2 threat per player. Prime Real Estate. Force interrupt. When a charm counter would be placed on the enchantment card in your play area, if your identity has the enthrall trait, place 1 threat here instead. Oh, okay. So if you have flipped your Hypnotic Gaze, anytime you are forced to place a charm counter, you focus. Come on. There you go. You instead place threat on the main. So that's kind of cool. So whenever she's attacking after this is flipped, she's attacking for 2 plus 1 threat on the main. Oof. Pops at 6. When revealed, if the Crown of the Enchantress attachment is in place, stun each identity. Ugh. Otherwise, searching counter deck and discard power for Crown of the Enchantress and reveal it. This pops at 9. Starts with 2 threat. Goes up by 1 per player. And then same thing from stage 1B, where if you can't place a charm counter, then you place threat here. I love Enchantress in that throne. She looks so... That's awesome. Ready to take on the world. Alrighty, so Crown of the Enchantress. It's an attachment. Attached to Enchantress. In expert mode, she gains Stalwart. So we see that those differences playing an expert versus solo. Standard. Force response. After she schemes against you, place 1 charm counter on your enchantment card in your play area. Or an additional threat if you've already flipped it. Each player exhausts their identity and takes 1 damage to discard this card. That's kind of wild. To get rid of it, every player has to exhaust. I don't know if we've seen that before. That's cool. Every player has to exhaust. In true solo, that's us. But in 4-player, that can be kind of tough. It also means you can't really defend, or you have to be ready after defending to get rid of this, or you just place on fire. Nice. We got a Luring Call. Attach your identity. Exhaust this card. This is another forced action, so you have to do it by the end of your player phase. Exhaust this card. Place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. Play a card from your hand, reducing its resource cost by 1. It's an alter ego action. We can exhaust this card to discard the card. We got Kiss of Temptation. Whose hand do you think that is? That's a big hand. That's a huge hand. Whose hand is that? So you attach it to your identity. As a forced action, exhaust the card, place a charm counter, draw a card, then discard a card. And as an alter ego action, we can exhaust the card to discard it. So another reason to go down to alter ego. We got love connection. You can attach this card to your identity. Exhaust as a forced action to place a charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area to ready your identity. And then as an alter ego action, you can get rid of it. And all three of these have boost effects to reveal the card. So you're going to get them. You're going to get them. And then we have our favorite card in the entire game. Valkyrie loves it. Seduced. You cannot make basic attacks or play attack events. Alter ego action. Spend a couple resources, get rid of it. Checks out that they would put that card in here. Brutal card. Jeez. Okay. We got a couple minions. We got an enthralled lackey. 2/1/3 with quick strike. After this minion attacks, you place a charm counter. As a boost, choose to either place a charm counter on the enchantment card or confuse your identity. I do like that you get the choice there. That's kind of fun. There are two of these guys. We got two enthralled brutes, which are 1/2 guards. When this minion is engaged with the player whose identity has the enthralled trait, so you've flipped your hypnotic gaze, the minion gets +3 hit points, so it goes to a 1/2/7. As a boost, place a charm counter or exhaust your identity. We got the Balrog. It's a 1/4/6 and he deals indirect damage. When revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, he activates against you. If your identity has the Enthralled trait, he gets a tough status card and 3 boost icons. The minions in this pack are mean. Then we've got Ulick. 0/3/5. In expert mode, he gains toughness. Again, love the dichotomy there. And then force response. After a player deals any amount of damage to Enchantress, he attacks that player. Oh, that's kind of fun. I assume he's like in lore, some sort of like bodyguard or something. When defeated, Enchantress attacks the player defeated and gets +1 attack for the attack. Oh, he's not elite, so you could blank him with Vivian or something like that. But I think that's really cool. It's like this kind of like, whoever you attack, you're getting attacked. That's fun. Hey! Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. Oh, happy day. How you doing? We've got 2 copies of Law of Attraction. So this has a acceleration icon. When revealed, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until an enthralled minion is discarded. Then you reveal that minion. Not put it into play, you reveal it because that stinks. Then as a boost, place a charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. I'm really excited for this. I think this is going to be a really fun villain. Okay. We got 2 of those. Then we got 2 copies of Spellbound. I love the art in Spellbound. I think it's like this dark arts type art. Really cool. When defeated, each player whose identity has the Defiant trait places the charm counter on the enchantment card. Each player who has the Enthralled trait discards a card they control. You really don't want to be enthralled. Pack looks so cool. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Heck yeah. It's cool. I'm very happy with it. We got a copy of Do My Bidding. When revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, choose one. If your identity has the Enthralled trait, do both. Ugh. So you can search the encounter deck and discard power for a minion and reveal it, and search the encounter deck and discard power for a side scheme. Thank goodness we only have one of these, because that is so mean. You have to do both of them if you're enthralled. Oh my goodness. Looks like we're going to be rushing Enchantress. We got 2 copies of Magical Restraints. When defeated, so same thing. If you have the Defiant, you choose one. If you have Enthrall, you're doing both. You are stunned, place a charm counter. You are confused, place a charm counter. So if you are enthralled, you are stunned and confused and 2 threat on the main. Ow. There's 2 of those. Wow, that's a lot of acceleration from the villain. Wow, okay. You got 2 copies of Spell Blast. When revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, choose one. So same thing. Enchantress schemes and she attacks you. Holy cow. So if you're enthralled, she's scheming and attacking you. And when she attacks, she adds another threat. So minimum, she's scheming for 2 plus a boost card, or 3 plus a boost card. Wow. Wow. I don't like it. Wow. Owen Wilson is not happy. Then we got 1 copy of Spell Shards. I like this art as well. It looks, that would be terrifying to have those things thrown at you. When revealed, take 3 indirect damage. If your identity took any amount of damage this way, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. I wonder what they suggest to play here. So the same Trickster Magic counter set. This seems like a pretty mean encounter set. I mean, like, the treacheries in this set are so brutal, especially once you do flip over to that enthralled side, because you're just getting so, or the villain, I guess, is getting so much acceleration and so much tempo just from 1 treachery card. Scheming and attacking off 1 is so bad. So you really don't want to flip. She starts out as steady, so you can't really just like status lock her. That's not really gonna work because she's steady. And then she becomes stalwart when you flip and you have the crown. I'm excited. I think this is going to be fun. I think Valkyrie is going to get hit by a truck if she tries to play this, but I wouldn't. I mean, like, let's try it. If we do get absolutely stomped on, we may try a different villain as well. But I'm looking forward to trying both of these villains tomorrow. So that's going to be happening tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then we'll post the VODs as well. But yeah, I'm Enchantress looks meaner than Loki for sure, I think. I'll also be curious to hear what y'all think based on when after a couple of reps to see, like, is Enchantress worse than Loki or is Loki worse than Enchantress?